After 8 years, we finally have a new installment in the Kung Fu Panda franchise. Kung Fu Panda 4 has recently released and I got a chance to watch it yesterday. Now, you may have seen my out of theatre reaction that I put on YouTube Shorts, but if you haven't seen that, a quick catch up is what I wanted to say is I am very, very close with the original Kung Fu Panda trilogy. It was like one of my favourite franchises growing up. It was on loop in my house. I absolutely loved it, became so connected to the characters. And then I kind of didn't really watch them for a while. And then kind of when lockdown hit, I went back to watch them as an older person, as a teenager, and went back and watched them. And I realised how much heart and soul these films really carried. To which then I go into this film with high expectations. And then the reviews come out, they're very, very mixed. Or mixed for a Kung Fu Panda film, you could say. But I got a chance to watch it, so let's not hold off any further and let's just get right into this review. And I think the best thing about Kung Fu Panda 4 is how fun it is to just return to the world of Kung Fu Panda. You get all these Netflix series, you get all these short films and specials and whatnot, but the actual feeling of watching a new installment in the Kung Fu Panda franchise in this world with these characters is so refreshing and feels so fun to be able to do that. And as someone who grew up with these films, it is such a pleasure to just be able to, as an older person, be able to return to this franchise and see people enjoying it and me being able to enjoy it a lot myself. And that was the big thing with this film, is it's so much fun to just sit in the world and enjoy the fun which goes on. Hans Zimmer returned for the score this time. The score is phenomenal. Absolutely loved the score in this film. I thought it was just as good as kind of the first Kung Fu Panda, the second one, and even the third one. Like, it was just so amazing and just so beautiful and so gorgeous. And speaking of gorgeous, the animation and the action is probably the best this Kung Fu Panda franchise has been. It looks so good. It feels really, really good to watch. It's slick, it's fun, it's enjoyable. It kind of has a bit of the animation style like Puss in Boots. Maybe not quite as extreme, but it still has it in there. And that's kind of the same with the animation, is the textures on the characters just looks so amazing. It's just unreal how good and how breathtaking it can be to watch. When you're watching a literal DreamWorks animated film, it looks so good. Also, the voice acting in here is really, really good. Obviously, we've got Poe, who has returned with Jack Black. Jack Black is one of my favourite actors of all time. And I just think Jack Black is just, the way he's just so energetic about his characters and everything. And although I felt I noticed here, especially after rewatching Kung Fu Panda 1 to 3 just this week, I kind of feel Jack Black is aging a bit. I kind of felt like he sounded a slightly different. That might just be me, but I kind of felt he did. And just kind of things like that. It's a really, really fun and really, really enjoyable film. You know, we've got Shifu in there. We've got Mr. Ping, who's got this really fun little plot line with Lee. So you've got both of Poe's dads having this little fun, little silly plot line, which provides some good laughs and also provides heart in the message which this film is trying to carry over. Master Shifu, while he probably has the same amount of screen time as the other films, he never really does join in on the adventure. It's kind of quite rare that he does. He's still got some good laughs in there, and he's still continues to be that sensei kind of character. In fact, even Mr. Beast makes a key little cameo in this film. We've got the Chameleon now, who is this new villain who, while might be one of the weaker sides of the Kung Fu Panda villains, still bestows this kind of quite good threat. And she's got this thing where she shapeshifts into other villains. That's so cool to watch in an animated Kung Fu Panda film. And with this is one of the only franchises where you can actually get to do that. So you've had all this build up just for this, and I think it works out actually really, really well. So from there, let's move on to the kind of just some more of my kind of mixed to negative points on this film. And I kind of, something which I kind of held off speaking about in the good section was kind of, we have our main character here, our second main character here, the second protagonist, which is Awkwafina's character, who plays a fox by the name of Zen. Now, there's two things to point out with this character, and I didn't really know whether to put this as a positive or a negative, so it is in the mixed, because there's 2 points of view to look at this from. So, Awkwafina, she's in a lot of animated films these days. She's in so many of the DreamWorks ones, she's in the Disney ones, she's in the MCU, she's kind of in loads now. She's kind of becoming another one of those Chris Pratts. And then when she got cast in this film, I am not an Awkwafina hater, but I was a bit disappointed, because she does feel very familiar in this film, and kind of a bit generic in this film, in her character. And she's just not as enjoyable of a character to sit by Poe as, say, some other characters which don't show up in this film, which I'd like to speak about in just a second. And she's kind of given her own kind of backstory and plot on why she is this master criminal thief character, which is fine, but like, it just doesn't work as well as it probably should. And I think the thing with it is there's this plot line in the film, which if you've seen the trailers, you know what it is. It is about Poe's legacy. And there is this certain role, I don't want to say it straight out, but there's this certain role that me, myself, and so many other people grew up with. This big thing which happens in the first film, and it's being taken down here. And you know who is going to be taking that character's place. So, Awkwafina's character has two main roles. And I kind of want to mention this now, is the Furious Five are not in this film. They are not characters in this film. They have a presence. They are mentioned once in the film, how they are not in this. And literally characters I grew up with myself are just gone and essentially replaced with Awkwafina's character. And it just doesn't quite fit. I felt like there was too much weight on her character. For a new character who they're trying to make likeable, but trying to give this kind of dark edge to, it didn't really add up in the way I thought it should have done. It's hard to explain it without going into full spoilers, because it kind of is. However, definitely too much weight on the character, with essentially replacing the Furious Five and also taking on this new role from Poe's legacy. So it just doesn't feel the same without the Furious Five there. They have to be there. They're such prominent characters, and they're just gone. But, you know, that's kind of just another thing to talk about. And I kind of just a few other things here is... kind of another thing with this film is there's not really an emotional hook with this film. You know, we kind of have the first film where Poe becomes the Dragon Warrior and you've got people looking down on him, and then kind of the reason he chose to stay and become the Dragon Warrior. And then you've got this really dark, gritty and emotional plot in the second film, which involves Poe's parents and, you know, how Shen murdered his mother, like, tragic stuff. And then they kind of continue that into the third film, and there's just none of that here. Kind of the humour and the silliness takes the front stage, and the emotion takes a step back. There's not really any emotional hook in there. And that's kind of one of the biggest standouts about these films. Why I love these films so much is because, yes, they can have the silly antics, but they can also have an emotional hook as well. It's got those silly antics, but it doesn't have that emotional hook. So something is missing, something's not quite there, and it just doesn't quite feel right. And kind of another thing to talk about here is with our chameleon character. She is the main villain, and kind of the main plot of this film, a lot of the marketing evolves around summoning old villains. Now there is a scene which involves, you know, some of the characters which isn't chameleon version of Tai Lung, Kai and Shen. It's the actual versions of them. Now I'm going to say it flat out in case, you know, because I know people are going to be disappointed in this. Shen and Kai do not have any voice lines in this. They do not talk, they do not make any kind of noise or anything like that. They are literally just there. And there's kind of this thing which they do closer to the third act of the film with kind of Tai Lung and kind of all the other villains. And it's a cute thing which they do related to kind of, I know people have been saying there's going to be a big redemption in this film and everything, but kind of what they decided to do kind of feels it ruins the legacy of the three villains a bit. Because as someone who grew up with Kung Fu Panda and saw how big of a scary threat these characters really were on Po, it wasn't there. And because they're trying to make Chameleon just this huge, big threat, that kind of means you have to dim down our main characters, our Shen, our Kai, our Tai Lung. They're weakened so much, and that's kind of hard for someone who grew up with the films to kind of even believe. Because if you can look back at that prison scene from the first Kung Fu Panda, or some of the scenes from Kung Fu Panda 2, or when Kai is at the Jade Palace and completely destroys the place, it's just weakened. And it doesn't really work. And the Chameleon's kind of, her main motivation doesn't make much sense related to kind of other characters in the Kung Fu Panda universe. And I kind of, you know, I saw the film less than a day ago, and like, I've kind of looked back on it now, and I'm not disappointed in the film. However, it is definitely the weakest out of the Kung Fu Panda films. I'm glad I got to kind of speak about it like this, because it's kind of how I wanted to speak about it. I'd like to do a spoiler review. I think that'd be pretty good. I might consider doing a spoiler review for this film. But like, as a diehard Kung Fu Panda fan, you know, Kung Fu Panda 2 is one of, if not my favourite film ever made. Like, it is that level. But I still had a really fun time. Like, it's just such a fun time to spend time with these characters, you know? And yeah, although some of the characters didn't return, I still had such a blast with this film. I had fun with it. I'm happy to rewatch it. It's not a bad film in any way. I hate to give off that vibe, because it's not. It's not a bad film at all. Like, trust me, I have seen much worse. And just from DreamWorks alone, like, it's still one of the better DreamWorks films. It's up there. But it was missing so many things which made the other ones great. It's a film which doesn't do anything currently bad. It just doesn't do anything groundbreaking. It's just got so many little nitpicks that it doesn't have one thing that makes it really, really bad. It doesn't have anything like that. But then it doesn't have anything that makes it probably stand out. It's kind of one of them two. However, I would still recommend that all Kung Fu Panda fans 100% do go see this film. It's a solid 7.5 out of 10 for me. And that even sounds good. You just kind of got to expect more from Kung Fu Panda. However, though, this is still a great film. I had a lot of fun with this. I had a blast, and I still recommend you go see it. But that is going to wrap up this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please just comment, like, and subscribe, share this video with your friends and family. Let me know your thoughts down below on Kung Fu Panda 4. And I will have a ranking coming out of all 4 Kung Fu Panda films from the worst to the best. So look out for that video. But that is all for this video, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.